What really happens when an Instagram account quietly crosses the threshold of 70 million followers without fireworks, without a press release, and without a celebratory post? Is it merely a number on a screen? Or is it a warning sign that the global entertainment landscape is shifting in ways we are only beginning to understand? And why? Among 7 BTS members who launched their individual Instagram accounts at the exact same moment, did one name surge forward so decisively that the industry itself was forced to stop and look again when BTS V, known to the world as Kim Taehyung, saw his Instagram account at THV surpass 70 million followers. It was not just another milestone. It was a quiet earthquake. No official announcement followed. No dramatic caption appeared. Yet across the globe, millions noticed at the same time, and the question echoed everywhere. How did he do it? To understand why this moment matters, we have to return to December 6th, 2021, a date that initially seemed ordinary but would later be recognized as a turning point in K-pop's relationship with social media. On that day, BTS shocked fans and industry observers alike by launching individual Instagram accounts simultaneously for all 7 members. After years of operating under a single group account, each member was suddenly free to express himself independently. The assumption was simple. All 7 accounts would grow rapidly. All 7 would break records. And all 7 would follow roughly similar trajectories. That assumption lasted only a few hours. From the very beginning, at THV moved differently. While other accounts climbed at impressive speeds, Taehyung's follower count surged with an intensity that felt almost unreal. It wasn't just fast, it was relentless. Millions followed within hours. Tens of millions followed within days. And what startled analysts the most was not only how quickly the numbers rose, but how consistently they continued to rise long after the initial excitement faded. At first, skeptics dismissed it as hype. BTS was, after all, the biggest group in the world. But weeks passed, then months, then years, and the growth never stalled. Instead, Kim Taehyung quietly began collecting records like fallen leaves, often without acknowledging them at all. By the time THV surpassed 70 million followers, the narrative had changed completely. Kim Taehyung was no longer simply a BTS member with a popular Instagram account. He had become the most followed Korean male solo artist on the platform, a title earned not through aggressive promotion, but through something far rarer in the digital age: restraint. And that is where the mystery deepens. In an era dominated by algorithms that reward constant posting, endless engagement, and manufactured intimacy, Taehyung does the opposite. He disappears. He posts sporadically. He offers no explanations. His captions are often minimal or non-existent. His photos are sometimes blurred, grainy, or deliberately imperfect. And yet, every time he posts, the internet stops. The question becomes unavoidable. Why does this work? The answer lies not in strategy, but in identity. Kim Taehyung has always been an anomaly in K-pop. From the earliest days of BTS, he stood out not because he tried to, but because he couldn't help it. His deep baritone voice contrasted sharply with the brighter tones typical of idol music. His artistic sensibilities leaned toward jazz, classical music, vintage film photography, and quiet observation. Even on stage, where he commanded stadiums with magnetic intensity, there was always a sense that he belonged just as much to silence as he did to applause. Instagram, for Taehyung, did not become another stage. It became a window. Scrolling through at THV does not feel like consuming content. It feels like being allowed to peek into a private world. A shadowed self-portrait. A candid shot taken mid-movement. A piece of music shared without context. A fleeting moment preserved and then released without explanation. Each post feels incomplete on purpose, inviting interpretation rather than dictating meaning, and the world leaned in. When at THV crossed 70 million followers, international media outlets rushed to contextualize the achievement. Headlines highlighted the numbers, the rankings, the broken records. Yet beneath the statistics was a deeper truth that many analysts struggled to quantify. Kim Taehyung was not just accumulating followers, he was cultivating presence. What makes this milestone even more astonishing is what Taehyung did not do to achieve it. He did not flood his feed. He did not turn his Instagram into a promotional machine. He did not chase trends. In fact, long periods of silence became part of his rhythm. Weeks would pass without updates, and instead of losing followers, his account continued to grow, that in most cases, inactivity is punished. For Kim Taehyung, it became a form of power. Fans began to describe the experience of following at THV as emotional rather than transactional. For many ARMY, Taehyung's Instagram was not about access, but about connection. Each post felt intentional. Each absence felt meaningful. His silence was not empty, it was expressive. When the follower count finally tipped past 70 million, reactions poured in from every corner of the world. Messages of pride, disbelief, gratitude, and awe-filled social media. Yet the account itself remained unchanged.
No celebration, no acknowledgement.
Just the quiet continuation of a story that seemed to unfold on Taehyung's own terms. This, too, was deeply on brand, because Kim Taehyung has never chased validation. Validation has chased him. Industry experts began to refer to the phenomenon as the Taehyung effect, a term used to describe his unparalleled ability to influence culture, trends, and emotion without overt effort. Songs he shared resurfaced on global charts. Fashion items he wore sold out within hours. Even abstract concepts associated with his aesthetic began to trend. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of this 70 million milestone lies not in influence, but in trust. People follow at THV not because they expect constant updates, but because they believe that when Taehyung chooses to speak, it will matter. That belief is rare in a digital world oversaturated with noise. AS, the most followed Korean male solo artist on Instagram, Kim Taehyung now occupies a unique position at the intersection of art, celebrity, and digital culture. His account stands as proof that influence does not always require visibility, and that silence, when wielded authentically, can be louder than constant presence. And yet, the story is far from over, because the question that follows 70 million is not what next, but what does this mean? What does it mean for the future of K-pop? For celebrity culture? For social media itself? And for an artist who has always moved to a rhythm entirely his own? The answers are still unfolding, and the most surprising chapters are yet to come. As the number 70 million settled into place on Kim Taehyung's Instagram profile, another wave of questions began to surface. Quieter, yet far more unsettling for the entertainment industry. How many of these followers were casual observers, and how many were deeply invested? How could an account that posted so sparingly maintain such extraordinary momentum? And perhaps most intriguingly, why did this growth feel less like a spike and more like a slow, unstoppable tide? To answer these questions, analysts turned their attention not only to the numbers, but to the patterns behind them. What they found challenged nearly every established rule of social media growth. Unlike influencers who rely on frequent uploads, collaborations, and algorithm-driven strategies, Taehyung's account operated almost in defiance of the system. His engagement remained remarkably high regardless of posting frequency. Each appearance on his feed triggered global reactions within minutes, suggesting a level of audience attentiveness that most public figures could only dream of. This phenomenon revealed an uncomfortable truth for the industry. Attention, it turned out, could be sustained without saturation. In fact, scarcity appeared to amplify desire. When comparing Kim Taehyung to other global celebrities, the contrast became even sharper. Many of the world's most followed accounts required years of relentless activity to reach similar milestones. Taehyung, by contrast, crossed tens of millions in a fraction of the time, without sacrificing privacy or artistic control. He did not conform to Instagram's expected rhythms. Instead, he imposed his own. This approach resonated particularly strongly with younger audiences who had grown increasingly weary of overexposure. For them, at THV felt refreshing, almost intimate. It was not about being constantly seen, but about being genuinely felt. The emotional response was evident in the comment sections, where fans often wrote less about what they saw and more about how they felt. Words like comfort, inspiration, warmth, and belonging appeared again and again, transcending language barriers.